Okay, welcome to the introduction to ColorGeHear Pro for Final Cut Pro 7. So the first thing I want to show you is this little trick here. You're going to go to Sequence, Settings, and you're going to change it from 8-bit YUV to render all YUV material in high precision YUV. And what this will do is this now gives you 10-bit color in Final Cut Pro rather than 8-bit, which should make your color corrections look a ton better. I believe I'm not sure if it's 4 times the color information or maybe it's 10 times the color information between 8-bit and 10-bit. It's a lot, whatever it is. But also, so what you're probably used to in a clip like this is you're probably used to doing a 3-way color corrector, which you would drag this over here, and you would maybe adjust this a little bit, and maybe the saturation. Maybe you want to warm it up a little bit this way. Maybe on top too. Maybe drop the density down. And then, but now that we've desaturated, now to boost the saturation, or let's say when to bring it, kind of mute it like this, but then bring more saturation on top of it, I have to add another 3-way color corrector, and then boost the saturation from there. Get a little bit of that color back, get some nice skin tones. Maybe go in, do some limiting. Maybe select the skin tone, and maybe we're just grading the skin tone a little bit in this. So what you're looking at is a lot of time. There's a lot of tweaking, a lot of sitting down, and just kind of what I call kind of just fishing. You're kind of fishing for the right color grade. But with ColorGeHear, everything's been designed to be very, very precise. So we're going to delete all of this. We're going to hit Command A. We're going to delete all that. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to use LUT-Buddy here. I'm going to drag 1, 2, 3, 4 instances of LUT-Buddy in here. I'm going to go in and grab, let's see, ColorGeHear Pro. Let's grab some density. Gonna warm it up a little bit. Send it warmer. Going to, I want to actually want to desaturate it with some toner. And going to punch it up with the spectral enhancer. Okay, so, but I want to mix these. So the density, actually let's go ahead and turn the spectral and the toner off. I want the toner to actually sit up here. So let's push it up there. And okay, so let's bring the density down so it's not quite as dark. Let's activate the toner and drop its value down a little bit so we get just a little bit of color. Simply warmer's fine where it is, and then we'll bring in the spectral enhancer, and it gives us a really nice warm tone. And that just took a couple of seconds. So instead of having to fish around to figure out what I needed to do, I was able to do that very, very quickly. So now, to do a similar grade to this in with the 3-way color corrector, which is what I've done over here, you can see there's a little bit of difference. If I bounce back and forth, the pot kind of pops. You can't really see, but you can see that the skin tones don't look nearly as nice with the 3-way color corrector. And if we go here and we activate, you can see it took me 7 instances of the 3-way color corrector. If we were to tab through them all, you can see all the different corrections that I did. I did some selective color correction. But this correction took, with 7 instances, actually took 15 minutes, whereas the ColorGeHear correction took about 30 seconds. And the other difference is the ColorGeHear grade will take about twice as long to render. So you save, what is it? I don't know how many hundreds of percents of time you save doing the actual grade versus the time it takes to render. But it's only twice as long to render out in ColorGeHear, and the color is much, much nicer. But yeah, you can see that when I tab back and forth here, that the shadows. The interesting thing about this is the 3-way version. You see it's really orangey skin tones. We don't like that. It's kind of Oompa Loompa-ish. And I lost a lot of color in my shadows, whereas here I retain that color in the shadows and I have really, really nice skin tone. And the reason that this comes out so much better in ColorGear Pro is that I'm utilizing changes to the pixel information that are not easily or readily available to us in Final Cut Pro. There's no curves tools, there's no selective desaturation tools, there's no toner in, and by toner I mean it's the gear that I applied here. If I were to show you the difference with for turning this gear off, that gear isn't available to us, or that kind of correction is not available to us in Final Cut Pro. All we can do is desaturate, so we can't really add tone. I would have to do this toner thing, what I would have to actually do is I'd have to bring in a solid that was a dark, muddy kind of gray and try and use transfer modes and try to add that to all the pixel information over the top of the image. And that would really boost our render. Our render time would just go through the roof at that point. So the major advantage you get is you get color grading options that aren't available to you in Final Cut in any other type program that can be brought in and used in this sort of LUT-based environment in which each one of these instances of LUT-Buddy is now a node, or you can call it a node or a layer. So now, like with After Effects, you have what's called layer-based color correction, and in DaVinci, as you'll see through most of the tutorials I do, you have node-based color correction, in which you can apply a correction. If I were to turn all these off, you apply a correction via one layer to the entire image, and then that gets sort of not necessarily baked in, it's not permanently baked in, but temporarily baked in, and then another correction goes over the top of that, which is temporarily baked in, and then another correction affects that temporarily and bakes it in, and then you get a final grade or a final correction that affects all the your first three baked in corrections. And that is how a node-based environment works. That is the industry standard for color grading, and that's what you have now inside Final Cut. It's not the smoothest, it's not the slickest interface or method in the world, but it does produce outstanding results that render at about 4 minutes per 1 minute of footage with a grade with 4 instances laid upon it, which is, like I said, it's about twice as long as it would take for the 8 instances or 7 instances of the 3-way color corrector that it took to get a similar grade, which is still not as nice. We don't get as nice of skin tone out of the 3-way color corrector. It would take me a very, very long time, almost a half hour to tweak this. And then, of course, what you can do now is if you'll see that these other ones are not graded, you can right-click, copy, select all, and deselect the copy that this version here, and then you can right-click and say Paste Attributes, Filters, and boom. Now the grade is applied to all the footage, all the clips here in the timeline, and it works just like anything else would work inside of Final Cut. There are other things that I will show you inside Final Cut in terms of you can, well, let me just do it now. You can add a 3-way color corrector here, either after or before. Let's say I want to go in here and I want to do, I just want to select, well, I gotta turn all these off first. Let's say I wanted to desaturate, or I wanted to really saturate her hair. So I would come in and let's do a selective color correction to her hair. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, let's change the luma, the saturation. Let's soften it up, and let's tighten this up maybe a little bit. I just want the reds. Of her hair. On the dark side, let's tighten this up. There we go. That's giving me something a little bit better. saturation and softening way up. Okay. And let's say I wanted to just saturate that. I wanted to boost the saturation just on the highlights in her hair. A/B that. You can see there's a, well, that's there. You can see it's kind of going in the shadows too. So let's say we soften it up and tighten the luma range. And now if we A/B it, see just a little kiss in her highlights, and then you can lay, of course, these over the top. There you go. There you have it. And if I, there, it's a nice little highlight in your hair. So you can do that. Okay, so this one's getting a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and end the tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use grain overlays, the grain overlays that you can download from the website. You download those right here. You just go to download ColorGear grain overlays. You'll get about a gigabyte zip file. Also, while you're here, you can get download a free copy of DaVinci Resolve Lite. LUT Buddy, of course, you know about already, and then the speed grade skin tone LUT, which is basically just kind of a green killing LUT that takes green out of the skin tone and makes it a little bit more pink, a little fleshy. And that's it. So next tutorial, obviously, we'll do the grain overlays, and then I will do like a workflow tutorial showing you the best codecs to use for exporting, and then how to use QuickTime Pro. There's actually a tutorial already in the free tutorials that you can see that shows you how to do how to weld stuff together in. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not here. It'll be in. This isn't live yet, but you'll have CG Pro tutorials in here. It'll be in there. So that's it. Thank you for purchasing ColorGear. I hope it works out for you. If you have any questions at all, email me at colorgear@gmail.com. Although it is more useful to me sometimes if you go through the contact form, only because it tells me what kind of a system you're on, so I know which operating system you're on, which version of the software you're using, etc. So that way I don't have to keep asking you, okay, what kind of computer you're on, which operating system, that sort of thing. Anyway, that's it, and I will see you next time.